Good morning, God. This is Charles Miller, Mr. C, on the ministry road. People say, well, how come you always happy? I don't know. I never noticed it. I'm glad you brought it to my attention. But anyway, listen, let me get started here. My theme this morning and my message this morning is on this subject right here. If you love me. Man, have you ever heard that from your wife before? Man, you know what? If you loved me, if you really, truly, truly loved me, okay? And you hear that all the time, So anyway, my sermon purpose today is for us to be attentive and be mindful of the fact that we love the Lord and that we should let people know it. It shouldn't be kept deep inside, all right? My message this morning, John chapter 14, verse 15, he says something very, very simply. Here's how he finds out if we love him. You might want to take a lot of notes right here, because when it comes to your wife or your husband, this is how you know if they love you as well, okay? Now, I don't know if I should put it to you this way to my wife, but it says in John chapter 14, verse 15, he says, if you love me, well, then just keep my commandments, all right? Now, that's not going to go over too well with Mrs. C, okay? I ain't going to tell her, if you love me, keep my commandments. I'm going to have to rephrase that a little bit, okay? Right? Matter of fact, I ain't even going to ask her that, okay? I'm just going to I ain't going to touch that one right there. But that is one for God. That is one for God to tell us, for us to listen to very closely. Hey, if you love me, all right, just do something. Do what I say. How many times your daddy said that, huh? Yeah, you want to go fishing? How's about cutting the grass? You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if we love the Lord, we do what he says. That's pretty simple. I mean, I don't need a rocket scientist or anything like that. I called my professor up and I said, hey, listen, man, I want you to tell me right now how you're supposed to act. What do you do if you love somebody? He said, I can't believe you asked such a stupid question, Mr. C. Come on now. Now, I didn't even have a professor, so don't buy that story. He says in John chapter 14, he says, if you love me, he says, John chapter 14, verses 21 through 24, he that hath my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that loveth me. It's him that loves me. And he that loves me, he shall be loved of my Father. Now we talking some reciprocation here, okay? If he loves me and keeps my commandments, he will be loved of my Father. And Jesus says, and I will love him and manifest myself in him. Now we're going to get to the brass tacks of if you love me, all right? As your wife might tell you all the time on occasions, hey, you know what? If you love me, okay? If you love me, all right? So, if you love me, you would kind of do some of the things that I want you to do around the house and everything. You know what I'm talking about, all right? Don't just try and smooth over it with the flowers, okay? I remember one time in the Bible, not that I was there, but in the Bible it talked about they wanted, once a year they would ask for forgiveness of their sins and everything. And they would live like the devil the whole year round, okay? I mean, just live like the devil. It was Mardi Gras to them all year round. Then one day of the year, they would get up and they would dress themselves in sackcloth and everything, kind of like what I'm wearing right now. They would dress themselves in sackcloth. They would disfigure their faces and just act all praying to God and stomping around like some old Mardi Gras parade or something, and act all sad. And then they would fast and they would kill a calf or whatever, and they would just tell God that they loved him. And God says, listen, save it, brother. Save it. That's just kind of like if you do something wrong and you bring your wife some flowers, and she's like, you know what? Save it. Save it. Save it, all right? Flowers ain't gonna do it. Jesus said that disfiguring your face and coming before him and doing all these things and all this pomp and circumstance ain't gonna cut it. It ain't gonna do it. If you love me, you keep my commandments. Well, what was your commandments? In their case, he says, let me tell you what my commandments was. You haven't been taking care of the poor people. You haven't been loving people that I want you to love because you know what? Remember I told you, it is very hard for people that's not poor to get into heaven. I put a little different swing on that, okay? You say, well, you know what? I got to be poor. It says a rich man and a person that has plenty, he doesn't pay attention to God. Very difficult for that person to appreciate what God has given him or her and still do the things of God and get into heaven. So basically what he says is, if you love me, keep my commandments. Now look, I'm going to make it easy on you, okay? I'm going to make it real simple. Oh my gosh, I know what you did. You went and ran and you got your Bible and you start writing down. I know you're doing it right now. You're writing down all kind of stuff. Oh man, keep this command. Man, they had, I think, 600, I forget the number. I got to look it up again. 300 to 600 Mosaic laws and rules and things of how to eat, how to sleep. You couldn't walk too far on the Sabbath day. Yeah, you couldn't walk more than like 20 miles or whatever it was on the Sabbath day. You had to prepare food a certain way. Oh, and you please God this way. God said, man, just save it, man. Let me just make it easy for you. Let me break it down for you. If you love me, keep my commandments. So listen, put all that stuff down right now. Don't beat yourself up, okay? Just do one real simple thing. Do two simple things. You've listened to Mr. C enough. You know where I'm going with this. Two simple things to keep his commandments. Love God, love your neighbor more than you love yourself. Hey, man, did Sister so-and-so have something to eat? Because if she does, then I'll eat. If Sister so-and-so don't have anything to eat, well, I got something right here. Let me bring it to her. I could go without eating. I'm just kind of giving you a little bit of help in case you can't figure it out, all right? But anyway, in order for you to, let me put it this way. In order for you to, you have a football team, okay? A football team. So you want to be on this team? You want to be on the Christian team? You want to be with God? You got to do a couple of things to be on the team. Now, you know I said this to you time and time and time again. I'm drilling in you. 3/4 of this country profess Christianity. I think it's hilarious. Hilarious how we profess it, but we don't do it, okay? We don't do it. There'd be some things. Look, let me tell you something right now, okay? All right? For CSI, you want to do some investigating, all right? Let me tell you what right here, okay? Let me tell you what. You want to, if 75% of this country was Christians like they claim on the census, we wouldn't have no rioting in the streets. We wouldn't have no liberals and conservatives fighting against each other. We wouldn't have all these differences of opinion because, brother and sister, there would be one opinion, and it's not an opinion, it's a commandment, and that would be God's holy word, and it ain't that hard to understand. Ooh, boy, that was a good sermon. I like that. I'm going to go back and replay this myself when I get off. I promise you, okay? All right, if you love me, keep my commandments. If you love me, keep my commandments. In order to stay on the team, on the Christian team, okay, they got some things you have to do, all right? You want to stay on. Sean Payton said this to all of you guys that are Saints fans, okay? Now, anyway, he said, if I know with the coronavirus, you guys can't be at the camp, but I expect you to show up at camp in shape, regardless of the coronavirus or anything. All of y'all got gyms in your house, okay? You can stay in shape, all right? So in order to stay on the team, you gotta do some things, okay? He says real simply, he says, if you love me, keep my commandments. The two most simple ones, love God, love your neighbor, okay? All right? So to stay on the team, let me go ahead and kind of wind down just a little bit right here, okay? Put a little music on. All right. Let me wind down just that kind of makes me kind of wind down when I put the music on, all right? All right. I don't want to put it too loud just yet, all right? But listen, you want to stay on the team, you got to do the practicing and you got to act. He says, I will manifest myself to you and in you. if you love me and you keep my commandments. Keep my commandments. The Father will love you. I will love you. And I will reveal myself to others through you. So, anyway, it's kind of like this. You ever you're not going to keep your marriage if you don't ever kiss your wife, okay? You're not going to keep your marriage if you don't ever tell her I love you, okay? So to stay on a team and to keep it together, kind of like, a man that never kisses his wife, a dad that never plays ball with his kids, okay? In order to stay on a team, you got to do the things that it takes to be on a team. Christianity doesn't come with just like, hey, all we do is go sit down and drink coffee, man. You're on a team. You're on a team, and what do you know about a team? What definition of a team have you ever heard of where you're on the team and there ain't nobody you have to play against, huh? There ain't nobody you play against. Well, there ain't no team. All right, it's a club. All right, it's a club. Anyway, Bible says we fight against principalities, powers of the darkness, and all the problems in our life. Basically, he says this: if you are a Christian, act like one, be one. Man, if 75% of 3/4 of this country really were Christians, we would have a wonderful, wonderful country again. Again. All right? Let me ask you this much, and I'm going to close with this, all right? Let me ask you this. Let me tell you what God feels like. Can you imagine if your wife, y'all together at some party or something like that, and they got everybody around you there, and they got a whole bunch of pretty women around you, okay? Oh, yeah. Got some pretty women around you and everything. And your wife walks up, and she says, hey, baby, how you doing? And you like, that ain't my wife. Where's that wedding ring? Well, you took that wedding ring off? What's going on here? You mean you would never deny your wife, okay? Can you imagine what would happen to you if you denied your wife, all the pretty women around you in the club, and your wife, and you act like you don't know her? Because you know what? That's what Jesus says. He said, can you imagine how I feel in this world when you are supposed to be a Christian, you've joined my team, and you don't want to tell anybody that you belong to me, that I belong to you? Woo! I know you raised your eyebrows when I gave you that illustration. How horrible that would be. Oh, Debbie would get mean. Oh, yes. That's kind of crazy, huh? But that's exactly what we do God when we deny him. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, can you imagine how he felt when the pillar, the rock of the church, Peter, upon this rock I shall build my church. Peter, I give you the keys to it all, man. And Peter says, I don't know him, man. I ain't with Jesus. Don't be hurting me. He denied him 3 times. All right, let me go ahead and be quiet here. I think I drilled my point in. Did I? I guess I did, okay. All right. Okay, so I think I drilled it home, okay? I tried. But anyway, go with God, and he will go with you. You know what I used to always say on my Mr. C comedy moment, okay? And you guys that used to tune into me on my humors, on my comedy, all right? Every morning. Go, tell Jesus that you love him. Make a friend today. And I used to always say, if you thought Mr. C was kind of crazy, you're probably right. I'll leave that part off, okay? All right. But anyway, go with God. He will go with you. If you love me, keep my commandments. And today, before you get back home or whatever, your wife should know that you love her. Your husband should know that you love him. Your kids should know that you love them. All right? Don't let them just assume it. Do something. Show it. All right. God bless you. This is Mr. C on the Ministry Road.